I used to live in L.A., and the weirdest thing happened to me. Minding my own business, and I think I stepped on the toe of Sendog's girl. Y'all rolling really, really deep, and it got uncomfortable. And I thought that was kind of a microcosm of your cohesiveness as a group.
Well, yeah, we all pretty much rolled together back in those days, like really deep. We were like a big family and stuff. I mean, we still roll pretty deep.
I almost got in a fight with Sendog, and that would have been okay, but y'all had like 30 people there.
We definitely have a lot of family members, that's for sure.
I love the word cohesion when describing your group because it seems seamless.
Well, we all grew up together before we actually got into the music as far as myself and Sendog goes and Muggs. I mean, before Cypress Hill was created, we were all just hanging out, having fun, and doing what teenagers do and stuff like that.
Speaking about teenagers, you're super smart. I've read like 6 different articles about you. You're a creative genius. How come you dropped out of high school?
Well, I sort of gravitated to the gangs and the street life and stuff like that, and I started, selling drugs, and I don't know, I guess that sort of lifestyle just appealed to me at that time. But if I had to do it all over again, I would definitely, tried a little bit harder to stay focused in school.
Outside of gang life, was music an outlet for you way back then?
Yeah, it was definitely an outlet. For me, it was the only outlet because sports wasn't an option because I wasn't in school enough to actually play for any of the schools that I went to. Music was my only other outlet at that point.
When you're rapping and you're doing the music, at what point did you get that exaggerated, high-pitched voice that we all love?
Well, that started pretty much just as an experiment because I used to rap in this voice that I'm talking in now, which is my regular voice, and it just didn't cut through, as far as what we were trying to do. It didn't cut through at all. I mean, the writing was there, but, the vocal tone stuff, they did nothing to stand out, and I just didn't sound good. So at some point I decided to, start playing with my voice and try to throw it off and try to do something different. And I came up with that high-pitched, nasally type sound, and at first I didn't like it, but the other guys liked it. It ended up working out for me.
No doubt, no doubt. You're the T-Pain of the late 80s.
Yeah, well, I don't have any vocal effects on my thing. It's all just...
In talking to you, I mean, you're a superstar, but you seem really humble and down to earth.
Well, that's the way I grew up, man. Growing up in L.A., you see a lot of these stars, from actors and actresses, athletes and musicians and stuff like that. And sometimes you get jaded around that, and they get jaded, you know what I mean? And I've seen fans get treated horribly or ignored and stuff like that. And I attribute it to one time that I was at this club, and I seen Chuck D from Public Enemy there, and he was my favorite rapper, of all time at that point. One of my biggest influences. And I normally, being that I'm from LA, I never approached a celebrity or anything like that for an autograph or a picture or anything because that just wasn't me. I would appreciate far, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And with Chuck D, I felt compelled to go up to him and just say, "Hey, man, I know who you are. I love your music, man. You guys are my inspiration. Hopefully one day I could do what you guys are doing." And Chuck, instead of ignoring me or being like, "Yeah, kid, just keep pushing along," like most celebrities at that point in time would do, he was like, "Hey, man, well, I really appreciate that, man. It's all about the love, and just keep doing what you're doing, and who knows, maybe one day you will be right there rocking with us." And I always thought that was the coolest thing ever, that he gave me, the time of day, you know what I mean?
That respect, most definitely.
Yeah.
In many respects, I'm sure you've had this comparison before. Sublime, for instance. In many respects, you guys go unrecognized despite the fact that you have this monstrous, very rabid, very loyal fan base.
Yeah, definitely, man. And it took years to build that because at that point in time, and it's very true to this day, is if you didn't have major radio rotation or any kind of MTV rotation, you really were out of sight and out of mind. I mean, these days, people can find you via the internet and, there's ways to market and promote and get it out there, even if you're not getting rotation on either side of the coin. But back then, you had to tour a lot, and that's what we did, man. We spent a lot of years on tour opening for big acts, headlining some stuff, doing a lot of festivals, and we were able to win over everybody that we played for. Well, mostly everybody we played for, we would win them over, and in turn, they would go buy our records. They would come to the concerts the very next time we were in town and stuff like that. So slowly but surely, we built up our following through our live show. And when we would go do these live shows, we would set up autograph signing booths so that we can go interact with the fans, talk with them, shake hands, sign autographs, take pictures, just overall show our appreciation for, them supporting us and stuff like that. We did that for a very long time, and it served us well.
I saw you in Orlando. I became an instant fan, too. Much love, much respect, and it seems like everybody's mesmerized. And you, dog, when you get on stage, man, you got crazy energy. Kind of reminds me of Busta Rhymes.
Well, I learned from a couple different people. KRS-One, I learned from him as far as, how to perform live, just take the mic and do what you got to do with it. As far as vocal projection, as far as presence, as far as controlling the mic and the show and whatnot, just driving the whole vehicle. I learned from KRS-One watching him do his thing. And as far as energy goes, when Busta Rhymes was in a group called Leaders of the New School,
right?
Myself and Muggs, we'd go watch them play these little clubs in Los Angeles. And whenever we were in New York and we could catch them, we would go watch them there and just see how full of energy they were. And Muggs and myself, we basically had told ourselves, look, man, if we ever get to that level, we need to have energy like that.
VH1, they do an honors awards last year. They put you up there. They celebrate Cypress Hill. And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't realize these guys are ancient. I didn't realize they were done. Sure, they've been around since 1988, but I knew you guys have still some fuel and gas inside you. Was it weird being on stage and being honored in that respect, despite the fact that you're still doing the damn thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool, man. It was a great feeling to get honored for our accomplishments in the music. It was something that we didn't expect. We never had any expectation of what we were going to do when we started. You know what I mean? So we definitely didn't expect that, and it was a great feeling.
How do you think you've influenced the genre of hip-hop?
I think we influenced it in a lot of ways. We changed up the sound in the 90s. A lot of people tried to do Muggs' sound. He was very influential on a lot of producers that came out after us. A lot of people started doing higher pitched tones as far as their verses go, like when they were kicking their vocals. We brought the big afros in to hip-hop. We brought the tattoos.
You're a Cuban-Mexican guy. How could you rock that afro like a black man?
On my Cuban side, there's a lot of African blood on that end, so I ended up, having an afro. And we obviously brought in the pro-marijuana culture. I mean, it been there and it existed, but we really put it out in the forefront.
And you put a little taste of rock in there, too.
And we put a little taste of rock. I mean, we were among the first to experiment with that whole fusion, you know what I mean? The list goes on. We did a lot of things that, perhaps we don't get recognized for and stuff like that, but
cannabis is definitely a theme. You got Smoke and Mirrors now. You got Fire as a single. I got to ask you, what's your favorite strain and how often do you smoke it?
Well, my favorite strain since '95 has been OG Kush, which actually originated, obviously it originated in Afghanistan or whatever, but we got, and the clones we got came from Amsterdam and they came from Tampa, Florida. And the ones from Tampa actually became the real strain out here. We've been growing it ever since '95, man, going strong and spread like wildfire. Now everybody's talking about it. If you trace it back, Cypress Hill was the first one to mention that strain called Kush on our album that had the song Dr. Green's Thumb. I think it was Cypress Hill 4 maybe. We had that song and we're basically talking about the Kush way back then, man, and now everybody talks about it.
What's your favorite kind of bong?
My favorite kind of bong, I like roar bongs. Roar bongs are really cool. They're simple. I like the shaped glass. The hits are always smooth. But the other guys I like are Philadelphia. Those guys are good. Philadelphia.
And what about a one-hitter? Do you have like one favorite special one-hitter through the years?
Not really. I don't really use one-hitters, man. I gotta hit a whole one, man,
Be real, man. It's a total pleasure, buddy. I really, really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you very much for having me, man. And then, this is Be Real, the Buddha the master of Cypress Hill, giving a big shout out to Scrappy for having me on the show. Let's blaze.